Hello, and welcome to the first of a series of In the Moment conversations with me, Gillian Fox, when I'm talking to lovely friends and colleagues about all things three principles. And today my guest is my dear friend, Maureen York, and we're going to be talking about the upcoming retreat that Maureen's running in Spain in April. And I'm just going to find out so I can give you a feel of what her vision is and what's going to be going on in this lovely retreat. So, hi Maureen, and welcome.
Wow, thank you, Gillian. It's a pleasure to be here.
And yeah, we're just going to launch straight into just chatting about your retreat that you're going to be holding. So, I guess a good place to start is where's it going to be and when is it?
Okay, so it's going to be a place called Elche, which is about 20 minutes south of Alicante. So, really easy to find and easy to get access to with regards to flights. It's going to be in a hotel called Huerta del Cura, which is a 4-star spa type hotel. I've stayed there myself, so I can confirm that it's a really tranquil and quiet place. It's got beautiful gardens. It's even got a Zen garden. You're actually
Zen garden?
I don't know. It just sounded really cool. But it's like a quiet place for people to reflect and sit and just be for a while. Not lots of running water and beautiful things. All the rooms are actually in the grounds of the hotel, and it's really like chalet type things. So it's got a really calming, relaxing feel about it. And you're actually really only about 5 minutes walk from the centre of town. So it feels like an oasis in the middle of this little town called Elche.
Sounds fab already.
Yeah. Well, I hope so. We stumbled across this hotel by pure accident. And as soon as we went in, we thought, oh, this will be an interesting venue, really interesting venue. The dates are the 13th to the 15th of April. That's a Friday through to Sunday. My kind of recommendation for anybody that wants to come along would be to turn up on the Thursday, just so that they're settled in and there's no kind of rushing and last minute panicky things. So we'll all get together on the Friday morning. I'm going to be providing dinner on the Friday evening at the venue hotel, just so that everybody can meet each other in a more relaxed and kind of less formal manner. But the whole thing will be very relaxing, and there's no kind of real structure. Well, there's a semi-structure to it, because clearly I have to get people in the room at the same time. But there's going to be no formal overarching kind of subject or topic, because I think that can restrict or hinder the free flow of discussion. So this is open to men and women, and it's about them giving themselves the space and time to reflect, to bring any issues that they've got to the table, but to do it in a safe and non-judgmental environment, and in a space that they feel free to share openly with others, and knowing that there's no judgment to it, and also that it's completely confidential. So I do operate a what's said in the room stays in the room policy, and that's to give people that reassurance that they're in a safe space and they can share as much or as little as they feel able to or willing to.
Sounds lovely, and I think, to emphasise that, with the understanding that you and I both coach and facilitate, there's no tools needed, there's no note-taking needed unless people want to. It's very much an experiential, in the moment, relax and enjoy it way of being on the retreat, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And I think what I'd like to emphasise is that if anybody's expecting this to be a 9 to 5, take copious notes, see lots of slideshows and notes and things, that's not what's going to happen here. This is going to be, we're going to start probably about 9:30 for about 10 o'clock start. So a very relaxing sort of starts the day. We'll have a morning session. We'll finish around 1 o'clock-ish for people to then have lunch. In wherever they wish to go to, they can either stay in the hotel or there are plenty of eateries close by. And then the afternoon is theirs for them to do as they wish. They can either wander into town, they can sit in the gardens. There's also a park very close by, within about 5-minute walk. It's about them creating space and time for them to reflect or just to be with whatever is going on for them. We'll then reconvene around about 6 o'clock. We'll kind of unpack what's occurred for people during the afternoon and what they heard, what's maybe shifted for them, how they're seeing things maybe slightly differently. And then, as I say, on the first night, we'll all have dinner together. We'll probably have dinner together most nights, but for the first night, that's built in as part of the cost of the retreat itself, just so that everybody can be together and to create that kind of more relaxed and informal setting.
I'm just wondering, have you got sort of maximum number of people that would be on this?
The very top number is about 16. I'm probably looking at anywhere between about 10 and 12 would be an ideal number. But I'll be looking for a minimum of about 6 or 8, just to kind of, so that if when we're doing kind of discussions or we've got any topics we might want to explore more deeply, then there's a range of viewpoints and thoughts going on in the room.
Yeah, because sometimes when there's too many people, if you like, not everybody perhaps gets a chance to share. Some people are a little bit reluctant if there's a larger group, whereas it's much easier if you're, especially if you are doing group work with perhaps another person or 3 people. It all takes time, doesn't it, to get all the parts that you want into the retreat. And when you're managing big numbers as well, that's a bridge too far.
Yes, I mean, and so the rationale for the numbers is from my own experience of attending events and similar immersion type retreats, where I know myself that if there's too many people in the room, then I would rather let somebody else speak than me making a contribution. So from my own experience, the fewer that are in the room, the more comfortable I feel about sharing. And also there's more space for me to share. So this is about 3 days of just tapping into who you are, what makes you tick, and exploring how you might want to see some part of your life slightly differently, and hopefully go away feeling that you're okay no matter what. I mean, that's a big thing for me. And I'll probably share my story throughout the weekend and my recent health scare that I had last year. But that's not the main aim of this. The aim is just for people to have a relaxed, informal environment for them to be at peace and to create space, time, and that feeling of they're giving themselves a gift of time and space for a short space of time, but actually it can be very impactful. And as it's completely away from everything within work or family or everything else, then they're able to explore who they are for themselves and by themselves.
Yeah, we know that a very big part of retreats, talking about this understanding, is that space where you're not actually in the room, but things are just bubbling away while you go for a lovely walk or sit down, have a coffee or whatever. And that's, insight just can bubble up in those moments, as well as when you're in the room talking to somebody. You can't order an insight, can you? It's going to happen when it happens. and I think, one of the joys of, especially if it's going to be warm, which it should be, I would think. It's
starting to warm up by that point in the year in that part of Spain, so it should be quite a pleasant temperature, probably around about 18 degrees or so. So very pleasant to walk around in, and certainly warmer than the UK, which is always a bonus.
Bonus, isn't it? Not that you can guarantee the weather, but past
No,
experience.
absolutely. I mean, yeah. So I can't guarantee that it won't rain, but I can guarantee that it'll be warmer than the UK. And but having that more relaxed environment, and the Spanish people and being in Spain is they take life at a slightly different pace. And I think that's the kind of overarching thing here, is about slowing down so that you can actually hear what's going on in your head.
Mm. Which is a precious thing, isn't it? And time, we don't give ourselves time. We have busy lives, we've got families to look after and be with, and jobs to do, and suddenly having that space to sit in the Zen garden, and contemplate, and just go, that in itself
It's
a
giving
treat.
I mean, giving yourself permission to stop is a really big thing, because we get caught up in the fast pace of life, whether you're in employment or you're not in employment. There's still a speed and a pace to life that you feel almost compelled to rush with or to run alongside, but not actually stopping I think is just magic. It's pure magic, and it's in that quiet space, in that kind of relaxed environment, where I find some of the biggest shifts occur. Now, you don't have to be in a calm, relaxed environment for a shift to occur, but for me personally, I find I have the greatest shifts when I allow myself to stop. So when I reflect on when I've had the biggest shifts, it's when I've been on holiday, or I've been away from here and I'm sat by a pool, or I'm sat in a garden somewhere and I just have a notebook and I just let my brain just spill out onto the page, or I just sit and I reflect and I just let the thoughts tumble around my head, and then quiet arrives. And it's in that space, that's where the magic happens. And that's the environment I'm trying to create or emulate with this particular event. Talking about sitting around by the pool, there's a fabulous pool at this hotel as well. So if people want to kind of sit and relax there, then that'll be fabulous too. So I do have a room booked at the hotel, but if the weather is good enough, then we may do some of the discussion outside, which will be fabulous too. Yeah, we'll just kind of take it as it comes, and we'll see what occurs.
I mean, you and I were talking before we started the recording, and I loved what you said. Your participants are giving themselves the gift of time to reflect, time to be, and
yeah. So it's something that I was listening to something the other day, and it said the presenter was basically saying time is something that well, it never stops, but you can never get back. So it's about using the time that you have on this retreat well and wisely, kind of being with yourself, but being open to just exploring and experiencing what that time can give you. Like I say, the time is just one of those forever moving things that we feel that we have to kind of almost run to catch up with. Whereas actually what I want people to do is say that the time is going to pass no matter what you do. So let's be more present with the time that we have. And when people are more present with the time that they have, and they're more present with themselves, then the opportunity to see things slightly differently is open to them.
that's when we fall into the space that you and I just fell into, that quiet and peaceful place.
And there's a gift of silence. So if during the retreat you feel, or whoever the participants are, feel the need to just be on their own for a while, that's cool too. Because it's about tapping into your own wisdom. And we all come with this infinite level of wisdom built into us, but most of us tend to ignore it or cover it over or feel that it's not important enough to act upon. So I'd like people to make a judgment call for themselves. That if at any point during the day when we're expected, when I'm anticipating that they might be in the room with me and they want to go for a wander, then that's fine. There'll be plenty of time to do that at other points during the day too. But if something's bubbling up for somebody and they'd rather not share about it, they'd rather just go and semi-unpack it for themselves, that's absolutely fine. There's plenty of spaces to do that too. There's no pressure on this. I really want to emphasize there's no pressure on this event. I'm just creating a space.
That's lovely, isn't it? Because some things that one goes to, it's rush, rush, rush all the time. Oh, got to see that speaker. Or, oh, you know, we've got to do this now, and must be here and sitting down. And yeah, as you say, it's almost like you're offering the structure. You know, and yes, people probably will be in the room with you. But if something is emerging that they just want to sit with, then that's totally understood, and you know, that's fine too. And they'll come back when they're ready.
Absolutely, completely non-judgmental. No judgment. If you're not in the room, I will not take it personally. I need you to be you here at this event. That's my big kind of thing. Is I want people to turn up for themselves, not because they think they should or they ought to. We do too much of that in this world. There's a clue in the title. We're human beings, not human doings. So I'd like people to be for a while and be okay with being for a while. Now, for some people, the stopping of or slowing down of their thinking can be a bit of a culture shock because we're so used to having our thoughts spinning around our head all the time. What's next? What's next? What's next? But it's giving themselves that permission not to have to do that. And if I can create a space that allows them to do that, then my job is done.
Yeah. Nipping back into the practical for a minute, if somebody that is watching this feels they're drawn to the retreat, how would they go about the next step? Talking to you?
Yeah. There's a couple of ways or 2-3 ways that you can go onto my website, maureenyork.com, and if you click on the retreats tab, some information is there, and also a link at the bottom to which will send me an email to set up a conversation. You can email me directly, maureen@maureenyork.com, and just put retreat in the title, and we can set up a conversation. Or people can send me a Facebook message, and again, just refer to retreat, and we can set up a conversation. I'm all for having a conversation with people for them to explore with them whether this is the right event for them, what their expectations are, and what I'm offering, and to see whether we meet in the middle. And it would be fabulous if they wanted to come along, but there's no pressure with that either. And any conversations I have with people, there is no hard sell. If it's for you, fabulous. But likewise, if it's not for you, that's cool too. This will not be for everybody, but it will be for some. And I'm just creating a space for people to explore what's right for them.
Mm-hmm. And it's it's open to everybody, so it's not specifically aimed at people that already have an understanding of what we talk about.
Not at all. So it's not aimed at that people have a prior understanding of the 3 principles, which is what we'll be exploring. But it's also not aimed at just ladies. At my retreat that I did back in September 2016, I had a mix of half and half men and women in the room, and that works really well. So I wouldn't want to be this. If only women turn up, that's fabulous. Or if only men turn up, that's fabulous too. But generally at these events, it's a mix, and I think we can get a nice balanced viewpoint when we have a mix of people in the room, different backgrounds, different experiences, and different understanding.
It sounds fabulous, Maureen.
Thank you. I'm really, really looking forward to this. As I said, I ran a retreat previously in Italy, and it went really, really well, and it was fabulous to see the people in the room and the shifts that went on for them. And I'm now ready to do the next one, and I just love it if people were able to join me.
I'm sure there will be. I'm sure there will be. Is there anything else you want to add? No, the only thing I would suggest is that if people are interested in wanting to have a conversation, that's brilliant. But just to bear in mind, we are now at the 26th of January. The event is the 13th to the 15th of April, and the closer they leave it to the actual event date to book or to make a reservation or even to have a conversation, the cost of flights will obviously increase. I do have a preferred rate at the hotel, which for anybody that does want to sign up, then I will send them additional information as to how to make the arrangements. I've also got some information about flights and various bits and pieces about the other things they might want to consider, including things like transfer from the airports and various bits and pieces. So the practicalities of getting to the actual retreat itself. But yeah, so obviously the sooner they consider it, then obviously they'll get a better rate on flights. It's just one thing I would like to mention. Yeah. Lovely
Thank
talking
you.
to you, Maureen. And as I say, I know it'll be fabulous. I know it'll be a success. I was on the one you did last year, and that was amazing. And it was wonderful to see people having insights and slowing down and allowing themselves to open up and not know that it was a safe place to do so. I think that's important.
Yeah.
And like you say, what's said in the room stays in the room.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you for having me on your discussion series, Gillian. It's been a pleasure. And like I say, if anybody wants to have a conversation with me, I'll be delighted to have one.
Cool. Right. Maureen, thank you ever so much for taking time to be in the moment, and wish you every success with your retreat. And it's been lovely talking to you.
Lovely. Thank you, Gillian.
Bye.
Bye.